Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Friday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and today we are back talking about and reacting to the latest Pittsburgh sports news, mainly for the Pittsburgh Steelers, focused around this year's draft, talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates and their game yesterday, as well as their upcoming game here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and what is going on in the world of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The big news today, two intriguing prospects getting their big league call up to the NHL squad with, I believe, 6 or 8 games actually left to go in the season. So we're going to let a couple more people here get in here, and then we are going to get started with this news right here. Lots of people know that name right here. If you're a Steelers fan, I've been advocating for the Steelers to target this prospect, and now that vision may become reality. For you in here, welcome in, welcome in. As always, I will say right now off the bat, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you get notified when I am live. Also, feel free to comment in the chat like we have right here. Steelers Prods, welcome to the stream. I really want Dart. I do too. I really think whether the Steelers will have Dart on their radar depends on how this Aaron Rodgers saga unfolds. I mean, you got to take into consideration Rodgers visiting the organization really on his own account, according to Tom Pelissero last Friday. And then also you have to take into consideration what Adam Schefter told Jim Rome yesterday, that Rodgers may not want to play anymore, and that retirement could be in the lead over joining the Steelers right now. Rodgers, after all, he is 42 years old, and at 42, coming off an Achilles injury last year, you got to wonder at that age if you are really going to be willing to take those hits and be completely invested in this new team. Rodgers, he's going from a subpar O-line with the Jets, and now if he comes to Pittsburgh, he's going behind another unproven line, and a young one at that. I mean, you got the veteran on that line, I think 31-year-old Isaac Seumalo, and the rest of them are literal kids on their rookie deals. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But I am going to start talking about Jaxson Dart right now. So for the Steelers, it's really starting to feel like 2022 all over again. Of course, if you remember 2022, that was the year the Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett. But leading up to that draft, they were having meetings and dinners and visits with, all sorts of quarterbacks. So much to the point where you had people in Pittsburgh wondering if the Steelers were favoring Malik Willis more than the pseudo hometown kid, Panther, Kenny Pickett. So, they were meeting with quarterbacks on many occasions. 3 years later now, that is the case once again, as the Steelers' top brass have already attended the pro days of and met with a handful of quarterbacks like Jalen Milroe from Alabama, Quinn Ewers from Texas, Will Howard from Ohio State, and I also think Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. And then, of course, they also already had, I should say, a top 30 visit with Louisville quarterback Tyler Shuck. So, joining Shuck now, I'm sure a few of the other names that I mentioned will have top 30 visits with the Steelers, but now confirmed to have a top 30 visit with the Steelers is Ole Miss quarterback Jaxson Dart. Now, like you, Steelers prods, Aaron should retire. He's had a great run. Yeah, I mean, could be getting to that point. As farther and farther we go in this process, Aaron could very much be looking towards retirement. But, with that, and even before that, there has been buzz around the Steelers taking Dart in this year's draft for a while now. And this morning, the Athletics' Mike DeFabo, who covers the Steelers, announced that Dart will visit the Steelers in April. Now, Dart, just a little bit of a background on him, 21 years old, 6'2", 225. He threw for well over 4,000 yards and 29 touchdowns with Mississippi last year. I believe was named first team All SEC. So when you name first team All SEC down there in the Southeastern Conference, you're doing something right being a first team quarterback over, quarterbacks at other programs like Jalen Milroe from Alabama, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, and so much more. What's the guy? Beck, the quarterback. Beck, I forget his first name. Carson Beck, I think, from Georgia. So Dart beating out all of those recognizable names. And Ole Miss did have their pro day today, and I saw no confirmation that Mike Tomlin or Omar Khan were there, but you would like to think that they were there, or at least should have been there. I mean, Ole Miss's pro day seems like one that was a can't miss this year, because not only could the Steelers have gotten a look at Dart, they could have gotten a look at players, good prospects at other positions of need. You had wide receivers like Trey Harris and Jordan Watkins. I believe Watkins was, I think, scheduled to meet with the Steelers for a pro day. Don't quote me directly on that. Corner, Trey Amos, really the most notable one there. And also, probably the biggest need this offseason, a defensive lineman. And off the top of my head, Ole Miss has 4 good ones that I wouldn't be shocked if all 4 went within the first 3 rounds of the draft. That's Walter Nolan, who's going to be a first-round pick. JJ Pegues, probably looking at a late second day, early day 3 pick there. And also Jared Ivey and Princely Umanmielen, who I think, they could sort of, be in that same range as JJ Pegues. I know less about them than I do Walter Nolan or Pegues. But, after the past week of it looking like Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers was a foregone conclusion, I've tapered down my expectations on Dart being on the Steelers' radar. But now with what Adam Schefter said, like I just told you a minute ago, hearing that Rodgers may be leaning towards retirement, I'm sitting back down on my seat. Didn't even let it get cold on the Jaxson Dart bandwagon. Now, I say that, but also let me say, do I want the Steelers to spend the 21st overall pick like Charles Davis, NFL draft analyst for NFL Network, had in his newest mock draft? He had Dart going to the Steelers at 21. Do I want them to do that? Not necessarily. If I had my pick between Dart or, say, Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman, Kenneth Grant from Michigan, or, for fellow Mississippi Rebel Walter Nolan, if those guys were available at 21, even, a decent wide receiver like Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State, would I draft Dart over those guys? Probably not. 9 times out of 10, I'm taking the D lineman. But, however, if the Steelers want to play the game that I want them to play, trade down in the first round, maybe you make a trade with, say, the Vikings at 24, the Lions at 28, the Bills at 30. If you trade down, recoup that second round pick that you traded away for DK Metcalf, I'd be down with, Dart being a, late first round, early second round. If they decide to trade out of the first round completely, I'd be cool with that. So, yeah, but, if Rodgers doesn't come to Pittsburgh, you take Dart, you put him behind Mason Rudolph to start the season, and you see where things go from there. Maybe putting him in near the end of the season to see what you have. I believe Dart is an underrated player who is being overlooked by a lot of people. People, questioning, how he progresses through his reads and whatnot. If you have questions like that, I encourage you, go watch the video. This was, I think, a couple weeks ago, or not that far away, but go look up Dan Orlovsky on X, type in, Dan Orlovsky, Jaxson Dart film, and he explains that Dart is being overlooked by a lot of people. And I'm starting to, after watching that, understanding why these analysts like Charles Davis and Daniel Jeremiah are thinking Dart could go as high as the Steelers pick at 21. But if you do take Dart and things don't pan out next season and the Steelers end up picking, in the top half of the first round in 2026, then you go the route. I believe the Arizona Cardinals did this, a handful of years ago. They drafted, I believe, Josh Rosen in the first round one year. Were picking high the next year, ended up trading Josh Rosen and picking Kyler Murray, who's still their quarterback to this day. Steelers can do that if they pick in the top half next year. You take Dart, it's okay. He'll still have probably high value. You can get a decent pick for him, and then you take Arch Manning or Drew Aller in your own city. Of course, the draft being in Pittsburgh. More news on that, actually, coming up in a moment. But, I mean, regardless, do not treat the Steelers visiting all these quarterbacks as some sort of smokescreen, because these are 6 very intriguing names that have all been linked to the black and gold thus far. And the Steelers are pretty much putting in skywriting, telling the entire league that one of these 6 names, Dart, Shuck, Howard, Ewers, Leonard, or Milrow, they're telling the entire league that one of these quarterbacks, more than likely, no matter which round it is, will be a Pittsburgh Steeler come this time in a month. Let's go to the comments here. Steelers Prods commenting as always. Hey, welcome back for the second day. Hope MLB TV is working for you here tonight. Bucks game about to start here in a little over an hour. Gonna probably hop off here and go watch that, but welcome back. I feel like Will Howard is getting overlooked by a lot of teams, and he's going to ball out. Maybe teams do love him, but they are not letting it out. I mean, he just won the championship, but he did have. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are overlooking Will Howard is going back to the combine. In the combine, he was probably the worst looking quarterback there, but he's throwing to receivers that he's never thrown to before. So there's bound to be, a little bit of, mixed communication and errors on his part. I don't, see what all the, big hullabaloo is about him having an off day at the pro day. I do have his profile here pulled up again. I made a sort of document here of all the prospects that I have on players in this year's draft that I like and think that the Steelers could draft in April. Started with the quarterbacks. Will Howard, I mean, he's 23. I pulled all this information from various draft, analysts and websites. Howard's 23, 6'4", so he's going to have no issue seeing over that offensive line. 236, that's a good weight to survive hits in the NFL. From Downingtown, PA, granted, Downingtown on the other side of the state, more closer to Philly. I believe it's in between Philly and Lancaster. So from PA, nonetheless. But, I mean, 16 games played, a great 73.1 completion percentage, just over 4,000 yards passing, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Also had 7 rushing touchdowns as well. Didn't take many sacks, 14 sacks only for Will Howard. And like you said, not only did he win the national championship, he has also won the offensive MVP in that national championship game. And just some player comps for Will Howard that I've seen. They're not the sexiest of player comps, older quarterbacks like Josh McCown and Blake Bortles, but more newer draft prospects, Will Howard as well. So yeah, I could live with Will Howard. Maybe not. I don't think a third round pick, but fourth or fifth round. If he's there, you scoop him up. You put him uh, behind, Rodgers or Rudolph, whoever the starting quarterback is. Let him learn. See if he flashes in practice and everything else. So yeah, and best part is that it's really a no risk move if you take him in the fourth or fifth round, because if he flashes, boom, you just got your possible quarterback of the future for a mid round pick, or fourth, fifth round pick. If you go after quarterback in next year's draft, you really have no super strong allegiances or investments in him. A lot of weapons. I'm just tuning in to hang out. I should be off by the time the game starts. Yeah, I'm probably going to go at most maybe another 45 minutes here, go up to 6:45, and then shut her all down to tune in for the game. As a matter of fact, have Sportsnet Pittsburgh on beside me here. The hour-long pregame show just turned on. Going to talk about the Bucks here in a minute. I know you're going to, want to hear what I say about that. I agree. Combine wasn't great, but that's a weird environment, I feel like. But who knows? I'm a Chargers fan, so luckily we have a quarterback. But that's about it. Yeah, I mean, hey, Chargers fan, you guys are picking right behind us. I'm intrigued. What do you think the Chargers are gonna do? Are they gonna go wide receiver? They're gonna take Harbaugh's college player, Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. Intrigued to hear what your thoughts are on the Chargers are going to do. I mean, come back here for the first round of the draft in April. Like I said, I'm going to be live for that. So if you're in the comment section, then I'd love to get your reaction when the Chargers pick right after the Steelers. So by all means, join me back then. Like Howard, though, I feel like he's a veteran at this point. Guys like 23, 24. Yeah, I mean, not really the strongest quarterback class, though. When has there really been a strong quarterback class? I mean, really, you're looking as far back as the Tua, Joe Burrow, or not necessarily. I mean, book's still out on last year's draft. It was kind of decent, with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels and all those other guys too. So we'll have to see how this year pans out. Is it going to be top heavy, like the first and second round guys be the cream of the crop, or is it going to be the mid round guys? Yeah, best case scenario, you get Brock Purdy. Worst case scenario, you have Trey Lance and get rid of him in a few years. Yeah, Will Howard's that kind of prospect. I agree. Let's do this. Let's hit on some other Steelers news real quick. Steelers did make official 2 hours ago that they re-signed linebacker Jeremiah Moon to a 1-year contract. Moon, outside linebacker, really you're at the highest, your fourth OLB behind TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig. Special teams guys, Steelers have actually done that quite a bit. Really, their main theme in this free agency, bring back, all those special teams guys. Steelers, probably the best special teams unit in the NFL last year. So Moon comes back, going to be a special teams ace. Might have some competition in camp, but who knows? Steelers and really the rest of the NFL, their draft hats. Speaking of the draft hats came out, and I like them. I kind of feel like looking at them, like you got the Steelers in the Pittsburgh, PA above and below the logo, but on the brim you sort of got like the ivy leaves right here. Almost makes it look like hats that sailors wear on battleships and whatnot. So I like it. I think one of the better draft hats compared to like the last 2 years. I think this is the 2022 draft hat, I believe. So yeah, good draft hats this year. Speaking of the draft, Steelers, I didn't really get to hit on this yesterday during my live stream of the Pittsburgh Pirates game. Steelers were out in full force at Notre Dame's pro day yesterday. You had Mike Tomlin and defensive backs coach Gerald Alexander pictured together. And like Nick Farabaugh, Steelers reporter, says here, you got Tomlin and you got Alexander there together. Really the first time we've seen them together at a pro day this draft cycle. But you got to wonder if the Steelers are looking to take a safety fairly high in this draft, because they've Tomlin and or Alexander, as Farabaugh says, have attended the pro days of Malachi Starks from Georgia. I keep forgetting this guy's first name. Mukumba from Texas. Lathan Ransom from Ohio State. Nick Amenwari, big, strong, athletic freak safety from South Carolina. Malachi Moore from Alabama, and now yesterday at Notre Dame, Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. Also there was Omar Khan, so he was at Notre Dame as well. I believe that made it 3 days in a row that you had Khan and Tomlin at the same pro day. So, yeah, it was Texas on Tuesday, it was Ohio State on Wednesday, and then it was Notre Dame on Thursday. Also, Eddie Faulkner, he was away from the main group. He was in Boise, he was in Idaho. He was seen conducting the drills for the top running back in this draft class, Ashton Jeanty. If Jeanty's available there at 21, I don't see any freaking way that he falls that far. But I know people are saying, oh, let's not freak out and draft a running back in the first round again. Look what happened with Najee Harris. Ashton Jeanty is looking everything like the makings of a one-of-a-kind running back. I'm talking about up there with the Saquon Barkleys of the league. Dude is an absolute elite prospect. He's chiseled from stone. And yeah, one of the best running backs. I think the best running back performance in college football since Barry Sanders. So yeah. Two more here. Visit Pittsburgh. I think it's the travel borough organization for Pittsburgh. Speaking of the draft here in 2026 in Pittsburgh, they said that they expect 500 to 700,000 people in Pittsburgh for the draft. Of course, the draft going to be taking place at Point Park. I think that's where the stage is going to be. I think they're also going to be letting people in and setting up big screens in and around Acrisure Stadium. I expect a lot of boats to be on the river as well. So going to be interesting to see what the final setup will be for the draft, but should be fun when it is in Pittsburgh. Not sure 500 to 700,000 people. I thought I might take, the hour and a half travel into downtown to see it, but who knows. And then also here, Andrew Filipponi just posted this a little bit ago. He posted this 15 minutes ago. Let me see here to confirm. Oh, look at that. Contract extension for John Harbaugh and the Ravens. Wow. 3-year extension for Harbaugh in Baltimore. But okay, so trust Andrew Filipponi, whether you trust him or not. Pony for 15 minutes ago said Mike Tomlin will address the media on Sunday. Wondering if there will be a live stream to view that, but be very intriguing to hear what the head coach has to say. He's got a lot of questions to answer. I mean, he said a lot of things this offseason that a lot of people want him held accountable for. So we'll have to see how that goes. Let's go to the comments here. Did that one. I think tight end and no line. I'd like another receiver, but we have 2 young guns hoping they can develop. Yeah, Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnson. keep seeing, like, how the Steelers constantly have, like, Jaxson Dart and Kenneth Grant, those two guys, mocked to the Steelers for the Chargers. I keep seeing, like, Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas there. And then also I did a mock draft today. You guys are also taking a defensive lineman. I know you just let go of Joey Bosa, but you still have Khalil Mack. So, to be honest, I could have any pick in the draft. I'd choose Ashton Genty, but he will be gone very fast. Yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if he makes it out of the top 10. Super shocked if he makes it to 21, because that would mean that nobody would have traded up to get him in the first round. There's no way. I don't think he makes it past the Bears at 10, or at the very, very, very latest, the Cowboys at 12, I believe, is where they pick. Lathan Ransom is a freaking dog, yeah. Everyone projecting him to go top 7. Ashton Genty, yeah. Damn, you're right on the money. You pass on him, you're saying no to Barry Sanders. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Best, college running back since Barry Sanders. And I have him. He's my number 1 running back on my document here. Right behind him is Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. And Hampton, he is no slouch. Over 1,600 rushing yards with the Tar Heels. Was a first-team all ACC, I should say, and was a second-team AP All-American. He would easily, Omarion Hampton, be the first running back in this draft class. But Ashton Genty, he is just absolute freak of nature, game changer running back. And at 5'8.5", that it's even more crazy. I mean, there are a lot of running backs that I want the Steelers to take in this draft. So, I mean, if Genty's gone and, if Genty's gone, Hampton's gone, I like the 2 running backs from Ohio State, but those guys are probably going to go in the second round. Deep, deep, deep draft class at running back. One of my underrated picks who I want the Steelers to take, and some Steelers fans will probably hate me for saying this, I would spend a 4th or a 5th round pick, if he's still there, on Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. Dude was the top running back in college football 2 years ago, and then had a bit of a down year. But I'm going to use a baseball analogy here. Former Buccos manager Clint Hurdle. I take Hurdle back over Derek Shelton in an instant here, but Hurdle, out of his many Hurdleisms, used to say, if it's in there, it's in there. And if Ollie Gordon was the best running back in college 2 years ago, it's in there, and you just got to get that out of him at the NFL level. I like Cam Scatabo. He balled out last year from Arizona. Yeah, I like Scatabo too. Dude is a wrecking ball. Just, I worry about injury and, all the hits he's taken in college already. A lot of people want him in Pittsburgh. So, the only thing I need your opinion is on Najee Harris. We signed him, but to be honest, I think he sucked the past 2 years. Well, here's the thing. Najee, since signing with you guys, the Chargers, he has been on the boohoo tour. I was held down. He said a lot of right things. Did the Steelers have a crap O-line while he was here? Majority of the time, yes. Did Najee not have anybody on the offensive side of the ball to go to with questions as he was developing? Yes. Ben retired after Najee's first year in the league, and I believe after that, the only starter caliber guy who was a veteran in that offense was, I believe, Deontay Johnson, and he was 27, 28. So Najee, some of the stuff he says, also the facilities, Steelers training facility is absolute ass. splitting it with Pitt is an absolute, disgrace. They need their own training facility, and they need to invest in that training facility to make sure that the players have what they need to stay healthy. So Najee did say a couple of right things, but the thing that Najee said that I kind of perked my ears up at was that we didn't have an identity on offense. I thought he was right in the immediate when he said that, but the more I thought about it is that the Steelers did have an offense, and the Steelers did have an identity on offense, and it's been the same identity that they've tried to establish ever since he got into the league, and that was running offense. Now, you had those things working against you, but what you can control is what you can control, and Najee was a disappointment, didn't live up to the hype of a first-round pick, and, if he was, maybe just a little bit better, then he's not a Los Angeles Charger right now. He's still a Pittsburgh Steeler because they then would have picked up his fifth-year option. At the end of the day, Najee was a first-round pick, and, you had half of the fan base, if not more, saying day in and day out, oh, put the undrafted guy, Jaylen Warren, in the game over Najee. So, Najee definitely had some things working against him, but, he could have been a lot better on his own. So, Jaylen Warren, he's stayed over him. So an undrafted guy ended up beating out Najee as a bigger, more of a priority for the Steelers. I think Najee can be better. I think the staff out there could utilize him in probably a better way than what the Steelers used him here. So, he's on a 1 year, $9.5 million at the highest prove it deal. And, it's on him now. Maybe it's also helping him mentally that he's back out on the West Coast, closer to his family. I didn't mean the only thing I need your opinion on. I've been here 2 days and I agree with you on everything so far. Yeah, it's true, man. He didn't have much help or a quarterback since he's getting Justin Herbert. I expect a huge resurgence. Yeah, I think he can I think he can have a resurgence. It's on him, though. He has first-round pedigree. A lot of people were saying he was, going to be the next Derrick Henry. Don't like him, so it's up to you guys now to get the most out of him. Let's hit on some Pittsburgh. Actually, we're going to start here. We're going to hit on some Pirate news, actually. So, you were here yesterday, and man, that was a very disappointing game to watch, and really was a nutshell example of the Pirates' entire 2024 season. I mean, you hit on all the classics. Paul Skeens dominated on the mound. He went a little over 5 innings, struck out 7. The Bucks got him a very small lead. They got him a 4-1 lead, but still it was mainly off of the bat of Brian Reynolds. Reynolds came through in the clutch. He also had a home run by Nick Gonzalez. More news on Gonzalez in a second. And then errors by players playing out of position. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, utility guy, playing his worst position out of all of those positions he plays at shortstop. Andy Rodriguez playing his secondary position at first base after only playing, I believe, 1 game in spring training at first base. And O'Neal Cruz still learning the ropes out there in center field. So you had all those errors. Those gave the fish life. And then on top of it, the thing that plagued the Bucks way too many times last year, the bullpen completely crapping the bed. Mainly, it was the usual suspects of Colin Horderman and David Bednar. So they blew that lead, 4-1 lead, lost via walk-off in the 9th inning, 5-4. And yeah, for Bednar, it was the same old, throwing the ball into strike zone, still, getting mid 90s, I think topping out at 97-mile-an-hour fastballs, but, he's throwing the ball for strikes. Unfortunately, those strikes are getting, very, very hard contact. And that was, you know, perplexing to me why they put Bednar in, because Bednar was the only pitcher yesterday for the Bucks that got hit really hard. All the other hits and what a majority of the Marlins runs were scored on was soft contact, little dinks and dunks over the second baseman into right center field and into left center field. So they weren't hitting the ball a whole lot hard, minus one double off of Paul Skeens. But Bednar just came in and he just got absolutely obliterated. As for Colin Holderman, yeah, he needs to be more efficient and not let runners get on base. But I'm going to give him a tiny little bit of leeway, because if you watched the game, you saw where that one pitch was, and the pitch I'm talking about. He couldn't have walked down to the umpire and handed the ball into Joey Bart's glove more perfect. It was on the upper outside corner, wasn't touching the black of the strike zone at all. It was in there 100% of the way. Didn't get a call, and you know what? He was like wondering, gave the umpire like, what the hell? Where did that miss? Did it miss up? And then next pitch, like I just said, one of those soft little base hits into right center field that tied the game. So, bullpen, which, was just as big of a question mark of the Bucks bats. They gave way just like they did for a large portion of last season. As if the loss wasn't humiliating enough, speaking of second baseman Nick Gonzalez, he got injured, hurt his ankle, limped around the base pads on that home run. Didn't look like it was anything malicious. Like, he didn't roll his ankle. He didn't, take a twist on it or torque it all that much. It didn't look like, anything malicious. He just, like, halfway down after he hit the home run, halfway down the first baseline, just started limping. So with that, reports just came out from Bucco's beat writers a little bit ago that Gonzalez is getting put on the 10-day IL with what is described by manager Derek Shelton as, quote, a non-displaced fracture of the left ankle. So 10-day IL for Nicky G. Reading that, it non-displaced fracture doesn't sound all that promising. So probably, if I had to guess, going to be out 2 to 3 weeks, and then he'll start rehabbing it down in AAA. So we'll have to see what goes on there. So yeah, first game of the year, the Bucks lost one of their better bats in an offense that is already, a struggling offense. And to replace Gonzalez, the Bucks did recall utility man Emmanuel Valdez from AAA. Valdez got brought over in the offseason from the Red Sox, I believe, and he had in my opinion, a forgettable spring training. Not in the negative sense. It wasn't forgettable in the negative sense. It literally was a forgettable spring training. Like, I couldn't remember too much about what all that guy did. He was, I guess, decent enough to be in consideration to make the opening day roster. But so Valdez back up in the big leagues. I think going to be wearing number 48. So, and you're going to see Adam Frazier now. A lot of people were very confused as to why Adam Frazier was re-signed, but now he's going to be the Bucks' starting second baseman. Let me go here for a quick second. Bucks did post their lineup. Yeah, here's the starting lineup for the game today. Pretty much the same lineup. 1 through 5, Pham, Reynolds, Cruz, Bart, McCutchen, just like yesterday. The only difference in the lineup is that you moved Ke'Bryan Hayes up from the 7 spot to the 6th spot in place of Gonzalez. Andy Rodriguez, he'll play first again, batting 7th, and then Adam Frazier slots in the 8 hole with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at short, and Money Mitch Keller on the bump for his season debut. Expecting a good start for Mitch. He has had a knack. It's been pretty much the same cycle with him over the past 2 seasons. He starts off the season hot, and then he takes a dip in how he pitches in the second half of the year. So yeah, hopefully the Bucks can get more runs than what they had yesterday, put this game out of reach against a really bad Marlins team, so that we don't need to see David Bednar in this one. Bednar, by the way, his last 25 appearances, this from Dan Zarangrilli from 93.7 The Fan, last 25 appearances going back to July of last season, Bednar had a 7.66 ERA with 19 earned runs in 22 and a third innings pitched. Just absolutely atrocious numbers. A in the comments here, Shelton swears no one has tape on Bednar the way he throws him out there. Every team knows he's a college pitcher. I tried not to get upset, but I was a bit loud on X. Yeah, I mean, the city, for being a hometown guy from Mars, I believe, is where Bednar's from. For a hometown guy, the masses are really, if not, a majority of the masses have turned on him. Might be time to start looking for a new closer. And that's why I was confused yesterday when they threw out Dennis Santana when Skeens got pulled. Like, Santana, you sent down Kyle Nicholas for some, odd-ass reason. He didn't make the team, so Nicholas is down in AAA. He was one of your better relievers last year. And Dennis Santana, he was also one of your better relievers last year. I would have saved Santana for the 9th. If you really want to make David Bednar earn the closing role again, you got to start him out in, innings where it's, not the 9th, I should say. Our best hitter takes a no-contact injury. Man, sucks so bad. I truly think after that is when the Marlins officially won. I'm not calling Gonzalez our best hitter. He's one of our best hitters, and he's still got a lot to prove. Your best hitter right now is Brian Reynolds. Your second best hitter, honestly, probably Andrew McCutchen. At least he's going to be, a professional big league at bat, make the pitcher work out there, get on base. And then beyond that, O'Neal Cruz is probably your third best hitter. He strikes out a lot, but still, though, he gets a hold of the ball. He can effortlessly send it over the fence. And then behind that, I put like Joey Barton, Nick Gonzalez. Last year, we had a few games with 10 runs. I think one game we had like 15. It's the same team. Yeah, I mean, if the Bucks would have, just had, a few more games go their way where the bullpen didn't completely implode, or a few games where they at least scored 4 or 5 runs, their record would have been completely and totally different. Maybe then there's at least sniffing the playoffs in September. Okay, got around 15 minutes here before I log off to turn on the Pens game, or the Bucks game, I should say. We're gonna get into some Pens news. So after the Bucks game wrapped up, I was still live actually when Sportsnet Pittsburgh over here lapped over into the Pens game, and by then they were already down to nothing, less than 7 minutes into the game. They gave up a first goal. I believe the final score was like 7-3 was the final, and it wasn't, even as close as that. The Sabres were up 6-1, I believe, at one point in the second period. And highlight of the night, besides Connor Dewar, fairly new Penguin, got acquired at the trade deadline, beating the brakes off of someone. Sidney Crosby, the GOAT. He did it. Penguins PR, legends chase records. Crosby rewrites them. Crosby last night scored a goal, was surprisingly left all alone in front of the net. You had Brian Reynolds, talking about Brian Reynolds, Brian Rust and Ricard Raquel working below the goal line. For some reason, nobody picked up Sid in front. Sid scored and secured his 20th point per game season, surpassing Wayne Gretzky for most point per game seasons in NHL history. So Sid, ever since he came in the league, still doing it. Point per game player. He's gonna do something night in, night out to help the team, and officially passes the great one, number 99, for most points per game seasons in NHL history. Also, real quick, not really Penguins related, do want to give a shout out. As much as I hate him, I hate competing against him, really hated him all his career, I will give my respects, hat off to Alex Ovechkin for the Washington Capitals. Capitals played the Minnesota Wild in Minnesota last night, and Ovechkin got the rest of the Capitals team to come back on the ice. And though Marc-Andre Fleury did not play, Ovechkin and the rest of the Caps gave Fleury handshakes and hugs, recognizing him and all he's done for the game before Flower retires at the end of the year. And the second bit of Penguins news today, Penguins made some roster moves, and 2 players are coming to the NHL that we've been waiting for, I think, ever since it became clear that the Pens were going to be tanking for a top pick in this year's draft. This morning, the Pens recalled forwards Ville Koivunen and Rutger McGroarty from Wilkes-Barre. In addition to that, they sent forward Joona Koppanen back down to Wilkes-Barre. So, going to start with McGroarty, was up with the team, made the team out of training camp, was with the main club for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, with a healthy scratch at certain points, and then he got sent down to the AHL. But over his last 19 games, McGroarty, 8 goals, 18 points, has 39 total points in 60 games played in the AHL this season. So McGroarty, I think he just needed a little bit of seasoning down in the AHL to get his feet under him at the professional level. He was, after all, coming from college, playing for Michigan, I believe it was. So McGroarty, think he's got that little bit of a push now down there in the AHL, was lighting it up. Bit of a prick too from the videos I've seen. I don't have AHL TV, but from the videos I see on X following the baby Pens, seems like he's got a bit of a snarl and a little annoyance, rat-like to his game. As for Koivunen, one of the top players in the AHL this season, near the top in Rookie of the Year voting for the AHL. Koivunen, 21 goals, 55 points in 62 games down there, tied for 6th overall in AHL scoring. Koivunen, one of the main pieces coming to Penguins in the Jake Gensel trade from 2 years ago, and it looks like the Pens are going to, get a pretty nice investment in Koivunen there. Dude is lighting it up down there. Really, all of the team is lighting up. Baby Pens are exciting to watch, and there's more besides these 2 on their way up to Pittsburgh. A little shocked that they did call them up. The general feeling was that Kyle Dubas was going to wait till next year and sort of have a mass graduation of these guys. Your McGroarty's, Koivunen's, maybe Vasily Ponomarev, trying to think, Sergei Murashov, the goaltender down there, maybe. Owen Pickering, who is up with the team a little bit. maybe even another guy here I'm about to talk about here in a minute. But yeah, McGroarty, Koivunen coming up to the team. Wouldn't be shocked if they're on the same line to start this. This is pretty much, just a tryout for them. Like I said, there's only 6 or 8 games left in the season, so be fun to, at least have a little bit of something to look forward to watching Penguins games here as the season winds down. But yep, Koivunen, McGroarty, 2 exciting names. The other guy I was saying who probably a long shot to make the Penguins main roster next year, but I wouldn't be shocked if he does. Harrison Brunick, junior season, I believe with the Kamloops Blazers, I believe is his junior team. Junior team wrapped up. He has now been assigned to Wilkes-Barre in the AHL as well, so he's going to join them, probably going to be on the team as they push for the Calder Cup down there, the AHL trophy. Second round pick last year, 5 goals, 30 points in the WHL. This past season, 41 games. So 30 points in 41 games as a defenseman. Very nice production there. Exciting prospect. Just dude put on a show in the preseason. I honestly thought that coming out of the preseason earlier this season that, he was going to get his 9-game test run in the NHL before the Pens either had to send him back to his junior team or shave a year off his contract. But yep, some little bit of exciting news today. 2 youngsters coming up to the Pens, and probably one of the Pens' most exciting prospects in Harrison Brunick joining the red hot AHL team. Going to take a couple comments here. Lost connection for a few minutes, but I'm back. Haha. Also, we haven't talked much about Bubba Chandler. Jeff Passan said on the Pat McAfee today that he thinks he will be better than Skeens. Now, that is getting very, very ahead of ourselves here. Skeens is generational. He is a unicorn that only comes out once every, 10, 15 years. Bubba Chandler is good. I definitely think Chandler is, when it's all said and done, going to be better than like his peers, Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler, Mitch Keller, all of that. But I do like Chandler's moxie, him saying, texting Skeens when Skeens got announced as the opening day starter. Hope you're okay pitching on day 2 next year. So, yeah, definitely think it's not going to be long before Bubba's up here, especially with Jones going to be down for the first month or 2. I think Bubba's going to be sort of following the Paul Skeens route. Will he'll be up in May? I was actually on vacation last year when I was like on my first day on vacation when the announcement of Skeens getting called up was official. So I watched Skeens' debut on vacation. I have a feeling I'm going to be probably doing the same thing for Bubba Chandler this year. On part of my take. Oh, my bad. I thought that said PMS there. My bad. Although Skeens went on Pat's show today for a minute, I did see that was awesome. I did see that too. Love what all Skeens is about. You can tell that his parents raised him right and that he did do some military training, went to Air Force. After all, saying, winning all these individual accolades is cool, but a World Series is better. Just, having a guy who's that good and also that humble, that is truly, truly special. He is, in my opinion, baseball's Sidney Crosby, where you have a guy who's got all the elite talent to package in with the humility and putting the team above himself. And just, I hope the Bucks don't ruin him. I agree. I hated that he said that. Yep. But yeah, the Bucks gotta figure it out here with Skeens and get this guy some help with the bats, because I can't go through another year of seeing him go out there and literally look like a man among boys on the bump and then having the bats do nothing but strike out when he's out there. Let's take a quick stroll through Twitter, see if there's anything else amazing going on right now. Cool. Indianapolis Indians, they finalized their opening season roster, the Bucks AAA affiliate. Billy Cook leading off, playing center field. Nick York at second base, batting second. Hank Davis behind the plate, catching. Matt Gorski showed a bit of power in spring training. He bats cleanup and plays in left field. Dark Hall will play first base, batting fifth. Leover Peguero, Peggy, as the DH in the sixth hole. Malcolm Nunez at third, batting seventh. Bryce Johnson in right, batting eighth. And shortstop Sung-Se Chang, batting ninth and playing shortstop. Braxton Ashcraft, I think you were talking about him yesterday. He gets the opening day start down there in the minor leagues. Looking more here, not seeing a bunch of other things. Definitely this Jaxson Dart visit being scheduled with the Steelers is pulling all of Steelers Nation into a quarterback frenzy on X. I'm seeing like pictures like, what quarterback do you want the Steelers to take? Sanders or Dart, Milroe, Shuck, Will Howard. I think this class is going to be better than what some people expected. Interesting. Brad Marchand making his Florida Panthers debut tonight against the Utah Hockey Club down there in Florida. Still very, very odd seeing the Rat in a jersey other than Boston Bruins black and gold. Maybe Pirates fans need to do that. Foul Territory just posted, apparently a Rays fan that was sitting in front of the suite of Rays owner Stu Sternberg. Of course, the Rays playing at Steinbrenner Field, where the Yankees play in the spring training. Apparently, a Rays fan was sitting in front of the Rays owner and held up a sell the team sign right in front of him. Bucks fans, take notes. Also, another thing I didn't get to talk about yesterday during my live stream for the Bucks game, not Penguins related, but John Tortorella got fired by the Penguins rivals Philadelphia Flyers. So Torts is gone. Screw it. Be like Team USA. Bring Torts in as an assistant coach next year for the Pens. I'd be okay with that. You hate him, but you know what? Bring him in. I'd be okay if he joins us. Haha, that's awesome. I need the sell the team shirt. Yeah, I was wearing mine yesterday. You shouldn't be hard if you search up Pittsburgh Pirates sell the team shirt. Shouldn't be hard to find them. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, on here for over an hour tonight. Thank you for those of you who joined me, 7 of you in here right now. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it very, very much. Yesterday, during the live stream for the Bucks game, we went from 317 to 327 on the subscriber count, and tonight we gained 3 more, so we are at 330 right now. I appreciate you all very, very much for joining me. We'll be back here on Monday. Going to be another mock draft Monday. We'll fire up the old PFF simulator. Probably going to do it a little different than last week. Well, hang on. We got last week on Monday when I did the mock draft, we were a month from the draft. We did just the Steelers picks in all rounds 1 through 7. Probably going to do that again do the Steelers, go through the mock draft, and then in 2 weeks we'll do just an all first round, all hit select all on all the teams. We'll talk about what we think each team is going to do in the first round. And then the final Monday before the draft, we're going to make our top 21 list, kind of a thing that NFL teams do, where they make a list of their top prospects, the number of their draft pick. And if one of those players falls, and you can go over that list and see what players are available at that spot. So come back for another mock draft Monday. And I appreciate you all joining me again. I will see you Monday. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you get notified when I go live. Like, comment, and share this stream. And I will see you guys back here on Monday. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night. Let's go, Bucks.